Answered in kind. 68. I can, I will, I do, no matter what, no matter when, no matter how. There comes a moment in the interior life when resolve ceases to be theatrical and becomes tectonic, not loud, not brash, not festooned with borrowed bravado, but subterranean, granitic, an inward ordinance issued without trumpet or tribunal. I can, I will, I do. Not because the conditions are favorable, not because the omens are auspicious, but because something preconceptual, anterior to doubt, has already consented. We are habituated to contingency. I will, if, I can, when, I do, provided that. The human mind, exquisitely adept at prevarication, constructs a labyrinth of provisos so intricate that by the time we reach the center, we have forgotten what we intended to do. We enthrone hesitation as prudence. We baptize timidity as discernment. We call postponement timing. But there exists another current beneath the oscillation, a quieter, more adamantine vector. It does not argue. It does not harangue. It does not even particularly care to convince the frightened parts of us. It simply stands. It is less a feeling than a fact, less an emotion than an ontological posture. I can. Not in the inflated sense of omnipotence, but in the deeper recognition that capacity is often occluded, not absent. We misinterpret latency as incapacity. We mistake unfamiliarity for impossibility. Yet, much of what we call can't is merely unpracticed musculature of the soul. The psyche, like an untraversed forest, appears impenetrable until one takes a step. The first step does not clear the forest. It clarifies the next step, and the next. Capability is not discovered in abstraction. It is disclosed in movement. You do not ascertain whether you can swim by standing at the shore discoursing on hydrodynamics. You enter the water. There is a peculiar alchemy in motion. The mind forecasts catastrophe. The body enacts courage. And somewhere between the two, reality becomes less hostile than imagination predicted. This is not naivete. It is empiricism of the interior kind. We learn what we can do by doing. I will. Here, the axis shifts from potential to volition. Will is not mere preference. It is not whimsy. It is not the mercurial appetite of the hour. It is consecrated intention. It is the convergence of desire and decision. To will something is to circumscribe alternatives. It is to say, with lucid austerity, this, and by implication, not that. Modernity recoils from this severity. We crave infinite options, perpetual deferral, the narcotic of endless reconsideration. Yet, will thrives on limitation. It grows robust where distraction is excised. There is something almost liturgical in true willing. It involves repetition, vow, recollection. We will today what we willed yesterday, not because we are rigid, but because we are rooted. The will is strengthened by fidelity to its own prior utterance. And yes, there are days when the will feels desiccated, when enthusiasm evaporates, when the project seems absurd, when the path appears interminable. It is precisely here that I will reveals whether it was a sentiment or a covenant. The covenantal will does not depend on weather. It is not barometric. It does not fluctuate with applause or indifference. It persists in obscurity. It labors in anonymity. It continues when continuation is unglamorous. I do. Here, all metaphysics condenses into action. I do is the sacrament of resolve. It is the moment intention incarnates. The chiasm of thought and deed closes. The interior becomes exterior. There is a reason so many vows in human life culminate in these words. They are not descriptive. They are performative. To say, I do, is to enact what one declares. It is the hinge between aspiration and actuality. And notice the temporal immediacy. I do is not postponed. It is not theoretical. It is present tense. There is a radical humility in this. We are not masters of tomorrow. We are custodians of now. I do operates in the only arena we truly possess, the immediate. When we say, I can, I will, I do, we are not forecasting a flawless trajectory. We are consenting to process. We are relinquishing the fantasy of total control while retaining the dignity of participation. Now let us add the final cadence. No matter what, no matter when, no matter how. No matter what dismantles the tyranny of circumstance. It acknowledges that conditions may be inhospitable, unpredictable, even antagonistic. Yet it refuses to confer upon them ultimate authority. It is not a denial of adversity. It is a demotion of it. This is not recklessness. It is hierarchy. Circumstances are influential. They are not sovereign. When we subordinate our commitments to perpetual comfort, we enfeeble them. No matter what, restores primacy to purpose. No matter when, addresses temporality. Much of human despair is chronological. We demand immediacy. We equate delay with denial. We interpret latency as abandonment. Yet, growth often incubates in obscurity. Germination is silent before it is visible. To say, no matter when, is to detach from compulsive urgency. It is to trust that maturation obeys rhythms not always legible to impatience. It is to remain steadfast in protracted seasons. And finally, no matter how. This is perhaps the most humbling of the three, because it relinquishes the insistence on preferred mechanisms. We often demand not only that something occur, but that it occur through channels we deem acceptable, elegant, efficient. No matter how loosens our grip on choreography. It allows surprise. It admits that the route may be circuitous, even absurd. It concedes that the means may confound our aesthetic sensibilities. Together, these phrases form a kind of interior architecture: capacity, volition, action, unconditionality across circumstance, time, and method. But let us glide, because this is not meant to be a militant manifesto. It is not clenched jaw determination. It is buoyant resolve, the kind that moves like a skater across ice, firm beneath, fluid above. Gliding implies friction mastered, not eliminated. The ice is still cold. Gravity still exerts its claim. Yet there is a rhythm that transforms resistance into propulsion. So too in the life of commitment. Obstacles do not vanish. They become surfaces against which we press and thereby move forward. Difficulty becomes vector. There is a certain magnanimity that arises when one truly inhabits I can, I will, I do. One ceases to obsess over comparison. Envy attenuates. The frenetic need for validation subsides because the axis of meaning has relocated inward. You are no longer negotiating your worth with the crowd. You are enacting your vow before your own conscience. And paradoxically, this interior solidity often renders one gentler. When you are no longer terrified of your own inconsistency, you can afford patience with others. When you are not perpetually doubting your trajectory, you need not disparage theirs. Resolve, properly integrated, produces equanimity rather than aggression. There will be regressions. There will be lacunae, gaps where momentum falters. There will be moments of self-interrogation bordering on self-indictment. But even here, the triad remains available. I can, even if only the next inch. I will, even if trembling. I do, even if imperfectly. Perfection is not the prerequisite of perseverance. In fact, the obsession with perfection often masquerades as dedication while secretly functioning as avoidance. If we cannot do it flawlessly, we will not do it at all. Thus, nothing is done. I do dismantles this paralysis. It sanctifies incrementalism. It ennobles the modest step. And over time, something remarkable occurs. What began as assertion becomes identity. You are no longer someone trying to be resolute. You are resolute. Not rigid, not inflexible, but internally aligned. Alignment is quieter than ambition. It does not need to advertise. It simply coheres. Thought, word, and deed begin to harmonize. The dissonance that once siphoned energy diminishes. Gliding through does not mean evading complexity. It means moving through it without fragmentation. It means retaining your axis amidst turbulence. So when the question arises, as it inevitably will, why continue? You need not produce an elaborate apologia. You need only return to the cadence. I can, I will, I do. No matter what, no matter when, no matter how. Let these not be incantations of defiance alone, but declarations of coherence. Let them be spoken not from the throat alone, but from the sternum, the seat of breath and steadiness. As you repeat them, notice the subtle shift. They cease to be motivational slogans and become ontological descriptions. You realize you are already living them in small, almost imperceptible ways. You rose when you did not want to rise. You spoke when silence would have been safer. You continued when cessation was seductive. You have been gliding longer than you realized. The path ahead will still contain obscurities, switchbacks, perhaps even abysses. But the architecture within you has been erected, capacity acknowledged, will consecrated, action embodied, conditions relativized. And so you move, not with bombast, not with ostentation, but with a luminous steadiness, gliding through. I can, I will, I do, no matter what, no matter when, no matter how. If you want to.